Welcome back, friends. All right, so yesterday it was first basic demo session, and we saw actually the course content, the package, and all the other details. And today is your first official demo for the Linux server administration. We'll just try to focus majorly on Linux administration today. All right. Now rules are same. If you have any doubts, any question, chat box is always open here, friends. You can simply ping me in chat box. And at the end of the class, if you want to talk to me directly for any questions, then you can simply unmute yourself and you can talk to me directly. But in middle of the session, try to use the chat box because every session is recorded here and all the recordings are shared with you through Google Drive. All right. Okay, so let's see what is this Linux and what is this server operating system actually. See, we know Linux is your operating system, right? It is a server operating system, but let us try to understand what exactly is a operating system. Operating system, as you know, is an interface between a user and a hardware. Who is the user? I am a user, you are the user. And what about hardware? Hardware is your server. Hardware is your laptop, mobile phone, desktop, firewall, storage device. All these things comes under hardware. So the question here is, can we use a hardware like a laptop or a mobile phone or a server machine without the operating system? Answer is no. Operating system is mandatory, right? Because that is the layer that interacts me with the hardware. Now, what I can do on hardware, I can play some game, I can store some data, I can run some application, I can do some browsing, isn't it? I can do all these activities. How I can do all these activities? If there is an operating system available, I can do all these activities. Now, there are certain operating systems designed specially for gaming purpose. There are certain operating systems designed specially for, office purpose. And there are certain operating systems designed specially for running applications, like, a web application or an email application, file application, database application. Okay, so this operating system is actually known as your server operating system. So when you think about a server operating system, the most famous server operating system across the globe or the internet is Linux server operating system. Whenever you connect to any application over the internet, 80 to 85% cases that application is running on a Linux operating system. It can be email application, web application, application like, Ola or Uber, application like a food delivery application like Swiggy or Zomato, application can be WhatsApp, or application can be anything, any mail application, web application, everything runs on this server operating system. And majorly they run on top of the Linux server operating system, my friend. Majorly on Linux server operating system. See, these are the 4 layers that we need to remember forever. You can see here, first layer is your hardware layer. What are the major components we have in hardware? The major components are CPU, RAM, and storage. These are the 3 major components. Okay. And then it can be Windows Server operating system or Linux server operating system. Like I said, over the internet, over the public network, approximately 85% cases we use Linux OS. Approximately 80% cases we use Linux server operating system. Now see, in Linux, there is a debate. Is it Ubuntu Linux or is it Red Hat Linux? Is it CentOS, Fedora, Amazon Linux? There are different distributions available. All right, so if you go with RHEL, that is Red Hat Linux server, then you can work on Ubuntu also. You can work on CentOS also. 2 major and the most famous operating systems we have, the Linux operating systems, are Red Hat Server Linux and Ubuntu Linux. All right, so if you know one, you can work on the other one. Architecture wise, they are same. Okay, concept wise, they are same. Some commands can be different between server, Linux server, the Red Hat server, and the Ubuntu server, but overall, they work in the same way. Okay, so over the internet, 85% cases across the globe, we use Linux. But within our company, within our private network, Now there is some competition. There is some competition between Linux server operating system and Windows server operating system. Okay, but over the internet, there is no competition between Windows and Linux. Linux is the market leader for many years, and Linux will remain the market leader for many, many years and many, many decades to come. All right. So we use the operating system here to run application. So if you come in the other way, as a user, I am connecting to the application. All right, I'm connecting to the application. Now, what is there under the application? This is none of my business, actually. I don't need to care about everything. Like when I connect to, for example, let us say hotstar.com or Hotstar application. Do I need to worry like where exactly the Hotstar is running? When I connect to Instagram, do I need to worry where exactly the Instagram is running? When I connect to Zoom meeting application, do I need to worry where exactly the Zoom meeting is running? No, right? I'm just a user. I'm just a user who is using certain application for certain work. So there is no need for me to worry like where exactly the application is running and what exactly is happening with that application. But now I'm not a normal user. I'm trying to become the administrator. So I should know my application should run on which operating system. My application should run on what sort of hardware. Okay, I don't need to worry about again WhatsApp or Instagram or Zoom meeting or any of the other applications we use in our mobile phone. But at least in my company, the application that belongs to my company, that application is running on Linux operating system or Windows operating system. If it is running on Linux operating system, which distribution of Linux? Red Hat, Ubuntu, or any other distribution. If it is working on Red Hat, on what hardware it is running? Is it 4 GB RAM, 8 GB RAM, i5 processor, i7 processor? What exactly is the hardware? This is what we need to see here, friend. These are the details we need to see as administrator in my company. All right. So any application that is working, that is running in my company is running on your server operating system. All right. So majorly, like I said, majorly it is your Linux server operating system. Now let us try to understand, beside running the application, what other responsibilities an operating system have. See, we can use operating system to perform certain tasks like, resource management, process management, security, networking configuration, performance management, data management, backup and recovery. Obviously, running the application is one of the most important work. Okay. And by using all these things, by managing each and everything, we can provide a user with an interface that ensures smooth interaction between a user and the system. So when I say performance monitoring, we should know how to monitor the performance of the machine. When I say backup and recovery, we should know how to take the backup. And in case if there is a disaster, we should know how to take the recovery. We should know how to provide the networking services, how to configure the networking services. We should know how to provide the security. So all these things we are going to learn theoretically and practically in coming classes. All right. So generally people say like, okay, server operating system is there to run applications. They are 100% correct to run the applications. But beside running the application, there are many more things, right? What are the other things? Beside running the application, we can simply go with like, management of the server, installation of the applications. Okay. And we can do all the other activities then. So these 4 layers, if you can remember, things will look much more easier to you. See, we need to certainly understand the hardware requirements. What is hardware? What are the requirements we have that we will see? Okay. And application installation is the responsibility of that particular administrator. Email administrator is taking care of the application. Web administrator is taking care of the web application. So like this, every person has its own responsibility. But as a server administrator, I need to make sure my server operating system is running perfectly. My server operating system is running perfectly without any issue. So this is my responsibility, my friend. I repeat, this is my responsibility as a server administrator. And one more thing, there will not be 2, 3, 10 servers in a company, right? If you go with small companies also, probably they will have, let's say 50, 70, 100, 150 servers. Medium level companies will have around, 500, 700 servers. Big companies will certainly have some thousands of servers. So we will definitely have hundreds or thousands of servers in a company. In every server, we have the operating system, the server operating system. All right. Now, these are the two major categories we have: client operating system and server operating system. Client operating system is designed to run on desktop machines and laptop machines. Like Windows 10 is a client OS, Windows 11 is a client OS. All right. And coming to the server OS, Windows Server operating system is the server OS, and Linux Server operating system is the server OS. So we are more than familiar with our client operating systems, right? Like Windows 10 or Windows 11. So if you know how to use Windows 10 and Windows 11, you can definitely use Windows Server 2025 or Windows Server 2019 or Windows Server 2022. Operating wise, they are same. Windows Server and Windows Client operating wise, they are same. Okay. Now coming to the Linux operating system, Linux operating system provides you with the client version also. They will provide you the client operating system. But my friend, 99% cases across the globe, laptops and desktops, we use Windows 10 or Windows 11 only, right? Now, over the 1% people who are using client operating system in their laptops and desktops, these people are actually ethical hackers, cybersecurity experts, okay, server administrators, DevOps engineers, cloud computing expert or cloud computing administrator. So these are the special people who will be using client operating system, Linux as a client operating system. But majority of people, 99% people actually, they will use only server, and they will use only the Windows client operating system in their laptops and desktops because that is more easy to use. They are more familiar with it. Okay. So what I'm trying to say here is, when people start learning about the server operating systems, especially the Linux server operating system, whatever they learn about the Linux server operating system will be very new to them because you're not familiar with any of these things actually. They're absolutely not familiar with even the basics of your Linux operating system. Let me take you to one of the operating system that is already installed in my machine, the Linux operating system. Okay, it will take few seconds to come. So meanwhile, what I said, they are not familiar with anything. There is one more reason why they are not familiar with any of these things. Actually, Linux operating system is more secure, more faster than Windows operating system. But why they are not, using the Linux operating system? There is one major reason. People feel Linux operating system is always CLI, that is command line interface. See, Linux operating system is famous for commands. It is obviously famous for CLI only, but it is not only CLI, my friend. You will get GUI also, graphical user interface also. But whenever people talk about the operating system, they say like, okay, we need server operating system in server. Whenever they talk about the operating system, they say we need client operating system in the desktop. Now, the next thing they will say here is, in client operating system, Microsoft is the client operating system because it is more easy to use. All right, because it is graphical interface, it is GUI. Okay, so when you start learning the Linux operating system, actually, you need to definitely start learning from very, very basics, from, scratch level, like how to create a file, how to open the calendar, how to check the date, right? How to, open a folder or how to enter inside a folder. These are the very basic things that we are going to learn in the Linux server operating system because we are not familiar with it, right? We have zero idea about the Linux servers or the server operating systems, majorly about the Linux. So we just need to start everything from basics. We just need to start everything from the scratch level because everything is commands here. Although Linux operating systems can be configured by using graphics, the GUI is also available there, but whenever we talk about Linux, we just talk about commands. So that is much better option, right? All right. So anyhow, this is the way we can categorize the operating systems. Now there is one more categorization actually here. That is, a operating system can be multi-user and multi-task operating system. See, as of now, single user operating systems are not available. Majorly, I can say Windows client is still single user, but multi-user, multi-operating system is the operating system we need to take in our server side. So what is the meaning of multi-user and multi-task? Multi-user means, hundreds of people can connect to the operating system at the same time. Hundreds of people can connect to the server at the same time, and every person can do a different task. That is called multi-user and multitask. I repeat, hundreds and thousands of people can connect to the operating system, and they can simply do different tasks at the same time. So to do this particular activity, again, Linux is the market leader. Linux has, multitasking available, and we can connect, multiple users can connect to the server at the same time. All right. Fine. So these are some of the very basic things that we need to understand about the operating system, my friend. So let us just try to go deep into the operating system and let's see the features of Linux operating system. Why Linux operating system is so big, why it is the most demanding server operating system for last many decades. I'm not talking about 2023, 2024. I'm just talking about from 1990s till today, and probably for many years to come. Whatever features we are discussing here, these features will remain same. Okay, now can I just take a break for 1 minute, please? I'll be back in 1 minute, then we will see what are the features of Linux. All right, thanks a lot, friends. Now, let us see some of the features of Linux server operating system. Now, open source. You might have heard about this open source terminology many a times. So what exactly is this open source? Open source means, there is something called a source code. Okay, let us talk generally here. It is something like a formula. To do something, there is a formula, right? For example, if you want to make a dosha, there is a formula to make a dosha. Means, there is certain process we need to follow. To make Pepsi or Coca-Cola, there is certain formula there. So for everything, there is a formula. For operating system also, there is a formula, my friend. Okay. So this formula is available for free. Can I make Coca-Cola in my home? That's not possible, right? The formula is not with me. But Linux operating system source code is completely free. I repeat, Linux operating system source code is completely free. You can take this source code and you can simply develop one more operating system. You can name it as, let's say, ABC Linux, XYZ Linux. It is available on the internet. You can download it and you can develop one new Linux server operating system there. Okay, it is available for free. Now, the other advantages what we have in Linux are it is hardware independent. There are no restrictions here, my friend. There are certain operating systems that works majorly on certain hardwares. But Linux operating system can be configured or it can be installed on any server operating system, my friend, or any hardware actually, any server hardware. Even you can take your laptop or desktop and you can install the Linux operating system, Linux server operating system, and then you can run any application there. This is such a flexible operating system. Even 2 GB RAM is enough for Linux operating system. Can we imagine 2 GB RAM machine today? We are taking laptops with 8 GB, 16 GB RAM, but for Linux server operating system, 2 GB RAM can be more than sufficient actually. Okay. And we know what is multi-user and multitasking. Many users can connect to the server and they can do different tasks. That is multi-user and multitasking. We know what is CLI and GUI. CLI is command line interface, GUI is graphical user interface. Okay, so Linux operating system is available in both the ways. Server operating system is available in CLI as well as GUI. But again, see here, my friend, whenever you think about Linux server operating system, you normally think about CLI, command line interface. Initially, maybe 1 or 2 days, you will be a bit confused actually if you're using Linux for the first time. You may be a bit confused, but later on, you will definitely enjoy the CLI. I always say this, whenever in your career, you feel CLI is much better than GUI. Command line interface is much better than GUI. That is the day actually you have already succeeded in your career. Initially, for few days, let's say maybe for 1 week, you just need to be more, careful while using commands. You need to be concentrating more. But once you're done with the basics of the operating system, then remaining things will remain same forever. Always say CLI is the best option to manage any networking device. Always go with the command line interface, my friend. Done? All right. So that is your way. That is the way we can, manage our operating system. Let me just take you to the operating system here once. I think the OS is already ready. Yeah, the server operating system is already ready here. So let's connect to the operating system once and let's see how exactly it looks. This is your Linux server operating system. Probably as of now, what is the time now? The time is 7:30. Today is what? 13th May 2025. The time is 7:30. As of now, lakhs and lakhs of administrators across the globe are working exactly right here. Someone is using a command like, let's say, ls. Someone is using a command like, let's say, clear. Someone is using a command, let's say, date. Someone is using a command like, let's say, ls-l. Someone is checking your mounts. Someone is, trying to check some details. Okay. So as of now, lakhs and lakhs of administrators, they are connected to the same console. Okay, I can say 98 to 99% administrators will definitely see this. Username will be different. Let me just show you what are the other users I have here. If I say tail/etc/password. So don't worry about what is this tail command, what is this etc, what is this password. We'll see this in great details. As of now, I just want to show you something. Okay, there are a few users here. So let me just connect to this server using, let's say, Rashmika user. Hopefully I know her password. Okay, let me just, configure a password for Rashmika. Done. See here, friends, how many people are connected to the server now? Root is the most powerful user in our Linux operating system. Root is the administrator. Okay. Now, beside root, there will be some tens or hundreds or even thousands of people connected, and they are connected by using their name. So right now, who is connected here? Rashmika is connected. Root is connected to server 111. Rashmika is connected to server 111. All right. Now, Rashmika is using a command here like ls. Root is using the command here as ls. Root is saying, let's say, fdisk hyphen l. Some output is here. When Rashmika says fdisk hyphen l here, see what it says here. It says permissions denied. That means Rashmika is a normal user. Beside root user, all the other users are normal users actually. Normal users have very limited permissions. Root can execute literally every command, but normal user can execute only few commands. If you want normal user to execute more commands, then we have to give more permissions. We have to give more permissions to that particular normal user. Got the logic? This is the way the server operating system works. Okay, so as of now, lakhs and lakhs of people across the globe, 98 to 99% Linux administrators across the globe, if they are connected to the Linux server, they are obviously connected exactly like this. They are using the commands what I have just executed here. Okay, they will create a file by using cat command. Normally, when I ask a question, do you know anything about Linux? Normally, I'll get an answer like they know about cat command. Cat is one of the command actually, my friend. This is one of the command in Linux servers. Okay, so say this is your server operating system. Everything is based on commands. Okay, all right, so this is your CLI. Now, it is a lightweight operating system. When I say lightweight, it means, the hardware requirement is much lesser. 2 GB RAM, 4 GB RAM is more than enough. This 2 GB RAM, 4 GB RAM feature, 2 GB RAM, 4 GB RAM hardware is more than sufficient. And this is actually a great feature to have when you go with cloud computing. You know what we do in cloud computing? In cloud computing, we take a server from a cloud provider, let's say from Amazon, and we pay money for that particular cloud server. So if you're taking 16 GB RAM, you need to pay more money. If you're taking only 2 GB RAM, you can pay less money. It depends on the resources, right? If you're using 16 GB RAM, like I said, you need to pay lots of money. But for 2 GB RAM, you can pay very less money. So you're running your Linux operating system here. Let's say Red Hat Linux operating system. If you can run your Red Hat operating system on 2 GB RAM, that's much better, right? You need to pay less money every month. But suppose imagine if there is a server operating system where the hardware requirement is more. So if the hardware requirement is more, at the end of the month, you need to pay more money. So this is one of the reason again why people or companies will opt for Linux. Lightweight operating system. It can literally run on any hardware, any company hardware. And when I said 2 GB RAM, this is nothing, my friend. It can, like, the most basic we can take. Actually, we can run the Linux operating system even on 1 GB RAM. But you know why I said 2 GB here? I said 2 GB because, we need to run the applications also, right? Okay, so it is so light actually. We can install this on any hardware, any company hardware. Okay. And the other advantage what we can have here is it is available in multiple language. The support is available in multiple language. If I am, let's say I'm from Telangana, so I can speak Telugu. I can take support in Telugu language. If someone is in, let's say, Dubai, it's an Arabic nation, so they will take support in Arabic. If someone is in, let's say, Germany, they speak certain language there, so they can take support from that particular language. So the support is available in many languages. The operating system is available in many languages. Obviously, majority of cases we go with English only, but there are certain countries where they prefer their own language. Let's say China, they prefer Chinese. Maybe he's a multi-billionaire, but he can speak only Chinese there. Okay, so this is again one of the best feature we have in Linux. It is available in many languages. In India also, like Tamil, Telugu, Bengali, Gujarati. These are some of the very major languages, right? So the operating system is available in most of the Indian languages as well. Okay, but still we are using the English only here. But just for the benefit of Linux, this is one thing that we need to know. All right. Now, the other big advantages we have in the Linux operating system is it is simply compatible with all the latest technologies. If you're thinking of cloud computing, DevOps, cyber security, artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain, databases, storage technologies, web application technologies, just think of any technology, my friend. Whatever technology is running today, it is running on certain operating system. And which operating system is there? It will be 90 to 95% cases, it will be Linux server operating system. It is compatible with literally every technology that exists today. And let's say next few months or few years, let's say one big technology is coming related to anything. That technology will be definitely running on our Linux server operating system. That much flexibility is available in Linux. It is literally compatible with all the technologies that exist right now on the face of the earth. Windows is not so flexible for sure. See, Windows is designed for a certain purpose. You know, when you talk about Windows Server operating system, the most important part of Windows Server operating system is there is a concept called Active Directory. For that, Windows servers are very famous. But beside this, you know, for each and everything, we go with your Linux server operating system only. See, within our company, let us say there are, let's say 100 servers. How many? There are 100 servers. I can say out of these 100 servers, maybe 65 servers are running on the Linux server operating system and 35 servers are running on the Windows server operating system. This is where this is in my private network. All right. But once I move to the public network, that is internet, the equation has changed completely. 85% of servers are running on Linux and around 15% servers are running on Windows. So within the local area network also, Linux operating system is having the upper hand, and over the internet also, Linux operating system is having the upper hand. You know why this 35% companies use, 35% servers are there with Windows? Majorly for Active Directory. Active Directory is mandatory in a way in our companies. Okay, so there are certain servers dedicated for Active Directory. So we have to definitely install a Windows server there. But for remaining all the other applications, my friend, there is no better solution than the Linux server operating system. Okay, so it is flexible with every technology. It is compatible with every technology. And within the company, whatever applications we are using for last many decades, like a web server, email server, file server, database server, storage server, any banking application server, for everything, Linux server operating system is best suited. Okay. Now, when people say virus free, I will not support this statement completely actually. Normally people say there is absolutely no virus in Linux. It's not like this actually, my friend. Virus is something that is again a software, so it can be, you know, the server can get virus for sure. Even the Linux server can get virus. But the difference here is it is not so easy for virus to come and spread. That is one thing. I repeat, it is not so easy for virus to come and spread in the Linux server. It is more easier for virus to be affected in a Windows server operating system. Although we provide, you know, firewalls there are, we can provide antivirus and all the other things, but still it is more easy for virus to spread in a Windows server operating system. Why virus cannot spread easily in a Linux operating system? Right now, maybe we are not in a position to discuss that particular feature, but like, you know, virus can be there in Linux. It can be affected with the Linux operating system. But the thing is, this particular operating system will not spread Linux so easily, and the virus cannot spread within the machine also so easily. There are certain, you know, security breaches we have to do with my configuration as administrator. If I do some mistakes, maybe because of those mistakes, maybe, you know, the virus can come, but majorly Linux operating system is much better in, you know, fighting with this virus. But still, remember one thing, there are certain cases where we have already seen virus have been affected on a Linux server. All right. And security is much better. So when I say security is much better, by default, the architecture of Linux is designed in such a way that, there are some features which are by default disabled for everyone. Remember, just now we have logged in as root user and Rashmika user, right? Root user can perform everything, but for Rashmika user, there are many restrictions. Now, because of these restrictions only, there is proper security in. And if you want to make more security, then you can simply increase your security levels. So remember one thing, a virus free and security is one of the best feature. But as the administrator, if I say, okay, fine, there is absolutely no need to worry about security in my server, then I'm wrong. I need to take care of security. I need to configure certain things perfectly. Then only security will be much better. And the other thing is virus free. Again, I need to be careful. Actually, I should not give permissions unnecessary to users so that, they can be installing certain documents or installing certain applications or opening certain files. Then only the virus can spread. But overall, it is much secure by default and it is virus free by default. But it is not 100%. We need to make sure like, okay, whatever features are available, we enable those features properly, we configure those features properly. All right, so these are some of the features of our Linux server operating system, my friends. So literally today, 85% of servers over the internet are running on this server operating system, and all the technologies are compatible with this Linux server operating system. But the question here is, which Linux server? There are very many distributions available actually. There are actually some hundreds of distributions available, my friend. How many? Hundreds of distributions available. But out of all these hundreds of distributions, my friend, the most famous distribution is RHEL, that is Red Hat Linux, and Ubuntu. These are the two most famous distributions we have. All right, RHEL and Ubuntu are the two most famous distributions we have. If you know any one, you can certainly work on the other. I'm not saying the other one is exactly same, but still you can easily work on the other operating system. Okay, so in Linux, there are many distributions available. We call it as distribution. So let's say different companies provide you the Linux operating system. So if I go to my server again, if I say, for example, cat etc slash OS release, it shows me the OS actually. So this is a command and say it is Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9.4 version. This is one of the latest version we have. Any version starting with 9 is your latest version. All right, any version starting with 9 is your latest server operating system. So this is Red Hat Linux. We are directly working on Red Hat Linux. We can install Red Hat Linux for free. We can download it for free. We can use it for free. Not only for practical purpose, in companies also. Today, as a Linux administrator in a company, if there is a new project coming in my company, I need to make sure that some servers are ready so that I can run that project on those servers. So I can download the Linux operating system freely. I can install on my server and I can use it. There is no license agreement. There is no, money we need to pay. There is nothing. Like Windows, we have like many issues, right? Windows we can use free only for a certain period of time. After that period is completed, we have to pay money and we have to register. We have to buy the license. But Linux administrator, maybe someone is using the Linux operating system for last 15 years without paying even 1 rupee. In that production network, they are running their company's application. Applications are running over the internet. Such a brilliant offer, right? So this is your Linux server. So majorly companies will go either with Red Hat or Ubuntu. So our course is based on Red Hat server operating system. All right. So this is the way it works, my friend. So this is your RHEL. That is what we are learning in our course. But beside these distributions, there are some very famous companies like Amazon. They have Amazon Linux, Oracle have Oracle Linux, Azure. This is your Microsoft company. They also provide you a Linux distribution. Microsoft, see, the competition is between Microsoft and Linux. For last many decades, There is a competition between these two companies. Remember, maybe like 15 years before, the competition was there between Nokia and Samsung, or Nokia and iPhone. Can we see Nokia anywhere today? Hardly we see people using any Nokia mobile phone, right? So today we see only Samsung or iPhone or some other companies like Oppo, Vivo, all the other things. So every time there will be some competition between two similar components, similar server operating systems. So Windows also offers the server operating system. Linux also offers the server operating system, but Linux server operating system is much better than Windows. So what Windows have done, because of the market demand, they have to develop their own server operating system there. But friends, when they develop their own server operating system, they're not developing anything from their own. Remember this feature? Open source. They have just taken the source code, and using the same source code, they have developed the operating system. Okay, so Microsoft people also have their version of Linux operating system. Okay, now the open source code credit should go to this particular person. Can you see this person on your screen? His name is Linus Torvalds. He is the mastermind. He is the person who has designed the source code. We should be very thankful to this person actually for designing such a beautiful source code and providing the source code for free for everyone. He is the one who designed the operating system somewhere in 1991 actually. 1991 he started, and around 91, 92, 93 the OS was ready. The source code was ready actually. He is the one who started or who developed the Linux server operating system. All right. So today, whatever Linux you see anywhere, it is because of this particular guy. He's still alive. And see, this is one meme I actually have taken from the internet. The person who you see here is again the same person, Linux Torvalds. In 91, 92, he was somewhere in some university. He was a student. So as a student, he started developing it. And today he is one of the, he is the person actually who has done many things to the technology. See, if someone can develop or design a source code so that, we can develop a operating system from it, designing a source code or developing an operating system is not a joke, my friend. You know this, right? Hundreds and thousands of people come together. They do a lot of planning and they do everything. And then finally, they release OS. But this person has done everything on its own. Okay, actually, this guy has taken some. Let me just take you back to some history here, actually. He has taken many things from Unix. Now, one of the big questions people ask in demo sessions is, what is the difference between Unix and Linux? You know these two people, Ken Thompson and Dennis Ritchie? If I'm thankful to someone in the, technology world, I'll be thankful to Ken Thompson, Dennis Ritchie, and Linus Torvalds. These are the three people who has done many things to the industry. Normally, we say like, okay, Microsoft, Amazon, Google. Okay, they are providing certain services. Fine. But at the end of the day, the services or the tools, the applications, they run on the server operating system, right? So Ken Thompson and Dennis Ritchie are the people responsible for Unix in the 1996. And Linus Torvalds is a person who is responsible for Linux in the year 1991, 1992. Okay. Now the question here is, when Unix was already there before Linux, what was the need for them to introduce the Linux, or what was the need for the Linus Torvalds to work on a new operating system? I just try to go in a very brief way. See, these two people in the year 1996 in AT&T and Bell Lab, they have designed the Unix source code. Who designed? These people designed the Unix source code. But the problem was this Unix source code was not free. That was the problem. Linux source code is free, but Unix source code, it is not free. So what companies have done back in those days is companies like, HP, IBM, Oracle. It was Sun Solaris actually before Apple. All these companies, what they did? They said, okay, you have designed the Unix source code. It is not free. Okay, we are ready to pay money. They paid money and they took the source code. After taking the source code, you know what HP did? They developed their own operating system and they name it as HP UX. IBM, IBM AIX. So they took the Unix source code, they paid the money for the source code, and they took the Unix source code and they started developing their own operating system. And all these operating systems were commercialized operating system. We have to pay money. Companies used to pay money to use any of this operating system. It was so difficult in 1980s actually to use this operating system because, technology was still in the very early stage, right? And paying money for the operating system and paying money for the hardware was very difficult for the companies. So this guy, Linux stalwarts, you know what he did? He just released this statement on 25th August 1991. You know what he said? He says, I am doing a free operating system, just a hobby. Won't be as big as the professional like GNU or some other operating systems. He said it is just a hobby. He is working on a free operating system. But the hobby has turned into one of the best things ever. He designed such a beautiful source code. See, the source code is, many things he has taken from the Unix source code. Everything is not from his brain. Many things he has taken from the Unix source code. Okay. So he said, okay, I'm taking something from there, but I'm adding few things from my side. So this is the source code available. And then he said, all right, the source code is available now. It is ready, but on one condition, you can use my source code. And that condition is from this source code, if you develop a operating system, I am providing source code for free. You should provide operating system for free. This was the condition. And today also, this is the condition. So companies like Red Hat, Ubuntu, CentOS, Microsoft, Amazon, all these companies, they have taken this source code, they develop their own operating system, and they are providing this operating system for free. Because of this particular guy, the operating system is free. He has designed the source code, developed the source code, and he kept the source code for free so that, companies can use it and they can run their business there. Got the logic now? Got the idea like why it is free? Because of the Unix, it was not free. So he made Linux source code free. But again, the question that we need to raise here is if the source code is free, if the operating system is free, then how these companies are surviving? These are not NGOs, right? They cannot provide everything for free. You know how these people are surviving here? These people are surviving because of the support they provide. Normally if you go to YouTube, there are certain things you can see for free. But is it completely free? First of all, they are consuming our time. We are paying money for the internet. We are giving them reviews and views actually. So maybe when you see something is free on the YouTube, it is not absolutely free. The people who are providing something free on the YouTube, they are getting everything from YouTube. They are getting some money from YouTube, right? The logic, I hope you are able to follow the logic here. When RHEL people says the OS is free, it is free. But when you take support from them, then they will say like, okay, now you need to pay money. So if I install RHEL in my server, and if I can do everything on my own, it is free. But once if I go with the support of the people, the RHEL people, then I have to definitely pay some money there. So because of this, support, they are still surviving and they are surviving in the best way possible. All right. So this is some brief story about your Linux operating system. So just try to concentrate at least on one server operating system. If you can just concentrate on one operating system, my friend, Linux server operating system, you can work on most of the other operating systems. And the other thing is, it is literally mandatory for you to learn Linux server operating system. It is mandatory, my friend. There are no ifs and buts. All right. Done. So this is something about your operating system, and most probably tomorrow we will see the installation part, installation of the Linux server operating system. See, a couple of days I may just go a bit, faster. I'm very sorry for the speed. What I have, for this particular session, it was a bit faster actually. Maybe 1.25 was my speed in a way. But see, within couple of days, I'll just go back to my normal speed. I'll make sure like, you understand each and every concept perfectly. All right, so chat box is always open anyhow. If you have any doubts, any questions, you can send your questions in chat box. These are very basics actually. We know most of the basics. Maybe you saw some of the basics somewhere on the internet or somewhere in a document or maybe somewhere in your college or university. So these are not, very technical stuff, right? But once we enter into the server operating system, commands and configurations and everything, I'll make sure like I'll go in a very normal speed so that you can understand each and everything clearly. Okay, so I'm done with the session for the day. I'm here for you for next 30 minutes or 30 seconds. So actually, if any questions and doubts, we will see, or else we can stop the session for today. Tomorrow is the last demo session. Actually, tomorrow we will see how we can do the installation. After tomorrow, you will not get, same link. You will get the paid link actually. You can see all the details are already uploaded in chat box. So you can just, interact with any of the numbers what they have offered you here. So for this package, as you know, the package includes Amazon Web Services. Let me just write it down here. Meanwhile, if you have any doubts, feel free to send your questions in chat box. This package includes AWS, Red Hat, Enterprise Linux, and the third one is CCNA, right? This package is only for how much? 699. That is one thing. And the second thing here is, if you need any other further assistance, you can simply call on these numbers. These are the two numbers actually. WhatsApp, as well as you can call them on these numbers, and you can take the new link actually that they will provide after tomorrow. So tomorrow is also the free link. Hopefully we'll see the installation, but like I said, you after tomorrow, they will definitely change the link. So you will get the link from them only. And every session will be recorded here, friends. As you know, recordings will be provided to you through Google Drive. Management will provide the recordings. And for any, doubts or for any other things, technical stuff, I'll take care. I'll provide you with my WhatsApp number. Okay, so if you have any technical issues, you can simply ping me. You can interact with me directly, but overall, for other management stuff, you can just interact with them on any of this number. All right, so this is your RHL, and like, morning 10 a.m., we have the AWS session, and Linux session will be daily at, right now we are at 8 p.m., but 7 p.m., but very soon we will go to the 8 p.m., right? Because we already have people coming in 8 p.m. batch. I just want to club you with them. Right now, tomorrow also it is at 7 p.m., but very soon we will be clubbing ourselves with the 8 p.m. batch. Same with your AWS. If you remember what I said before, AWS right now it is at 10 a.m., but within few days it will be again at 9 a.m. All right, and CCNA I have not decided yet. Maybe next week I'll decide about the CCNA course. Done. So I'm done with my session, friends. I'm here for you for next 30 seconds. If no questions, we'll stop the session and we'll meet again tomorrow at same time. I can just say one thing in a friendly way. This package, if you can do, this is the best possible start for you in your career. When you do, where you do, it's a different thing. You should take a call. I'm not saying like you should definitely come here. I'm just saying like if this package you can, complete, then, that will be the best call for you. That will be the best, thing you can do in your career. I will show you actually, Dev, how to install Red Hat, how to download ISO. Everything I'll show you in tomorrow's session so that, you can download it and you can do the installation in your machine. All right, so I guess that's it for the day, friends. No more questions, so we'll stop the session here. Yeah, thanks a lot, friends. See you tomorrow at same time with this same link. And like I said, tomorrow is the last demo session. All right, take care, friends. See you tomorrow. Bye.